Hi, anyone and everyone. It's Kim. I own and run the Humble Hermit LLC. Come as you are, Oracle. Music Mama 80. I have two YouTube channels, a thriving TikTok that went semi viral in May, an Instagram account, a business Facebook. In 2019, I started working at my current place of employment, and when I was hired, another woman was hired, and she started the day before I did. And usually, your first day of training is like just watching videos and safety videos and things like that. Pardon me. So, the second day, I was out on the floor and ready to pick and pack for a medical supply company. And this woman trained me. And I was like, you really know what you're doing? I'm like, how long have you been here? And she goes, this is my second day. Or, well, it was her third day. It was my second day. And I was like, what? And she goes, yeah, I started doing this yesterday. The day before that, I watched videos. And I don't know what it was, but from then on, her and I became the best of friends, to the point where people at work would be like, oh, you guys got hired together? Like, your sisters, your best friends? Her and I joked around that, I mean, I don't even know which one was which, but we were Lucy and Ethel. We got along like crazy. She's a sweetheart. She really is. Um, and I don't want to give too much of her story away because it's not really my story to tell, but just basic information. She was married with two children. Her daughter was an adult, and her son was like, I don't 15, 16, 17, something like that, when her and I started working together. And we started in September 2019. COVID hit in 2020, and things changed, all around the world, for the US, for Chicago, for everybody. And it was fun. It was funny because I didn't even know at the time that she had left her husband, and obviously not her two kids, but her two kids stayed with her husband. And she was in love with a guy that worked with us in the warehouse. Um, yeah, and I tried to be supportive because I love her, and people deserve to be happy. If you're in a 20, 30-year marriage and you realize you're not happy, then why would you want to stay there? And I fully support divorce if you feel like that's the route you need to go. And I do not at all believe in saving marriages for the kids, because that just never works out for anyone. That doesn't even work out for the children. So she moved in with him like that late summer, early fall of 2020. Her divorce was quick. Like I thought my divorce was quick. Her divorce was quick. from her husband. And her and the guy moved in together, and they seemed relatively happy. And then, I mean, they had been together since like spring, and I didn't even know about it. But the weekend of Thanksgiving of 2020, I guess he always takes the week of Thanksgiving off where we work, and they were supposed to go away together for Thanksgiving, and instead he decided to leave her and go back to his ex-girlfriend, who was the mother of his not even 1 year old baby. And he was gone, and then came back, and then she ended up she ended up moving out of their place together because they were renting a place here in town where I live, and they ended up letting the apartment go because I think it was just like a month to month kind of thing. It was like a little basement apartment in someone's house, and she moved in with her. Well, she stayed with me and my ex-husband for like a week, and then she moved in with her mother for a little bit, and then she started looking at houses, and she was kind of trying to move on from the guy, but it was always like she was going back to him, breaking up, going back to him, breaking up. So a few weeks after they broke up and she stayed with me and then she moved in with her mom, I got a text from her saying that her son had a stroke and she wasn't going to be back to work for a while. And I was devastated for them. Absolutely devastated for her and her ex-husband and her two kids. And she probably was gone from work for about 3 months or so. 2, 3 months, I would say. She didn't come back until probably like February of 2021. And when she came back, her and I, got together for a chat and a coffee or whatever, just at work, like on break, on lunch, something. Pardon me. And she told me that her and her ex-husband were trying to get back together. Like she had moved back home, and basically for the kids' sake, like she felt like they should try and get back together, especially with what happened to her son. Okay, fine. I mean, again, I don't really believe in that, but you know, if this is what's going to make you happy. She was at work about 2 weeks, and she left the ex-husband again and went back to the guy at work. It was funny because when she was gone, he was gone the week of Thanksgiving, and then I don't know how it even works because I don't think he had the vacation time, but he was off for 2 or 3 weeks, like December, January. And when he came back to work, I asked him how his break was and how his vacation was, and how his son was doing and all that jazz. And we just had like one or two little conversations, and then I realized that he was kind of like following me around the warehouse and trying to talk to me at the time clock. And I remember thinking, whoa, buddy, like, um, you have a baby mama, you have an on again, off again girlfriend, and I'm happily married. Because at the time I was happily married. And it's kind of strange to me that it wasn't until June. Um, it was actually the day after my birthday because I didn't tell anybody that it was my birthday. And then the next that day on my birthday, they're like, "Why didn't you say anything? We would have brought like cake and cookies and food and stuff like that." So the day after my birthday, we kind of did like a combined birthday for me and one of the other ladies there because her birthday is like a few days after mine. So one of the ladies brought in cupcakes. I made a cake. Um, Another lady brought in like pasta. She makes this amazing pasta with garlic and oil and chicken and little potatoes. It's crazy amazing. So we had like a feast for our birthdays. And, I remember in the morning talking to my friend and her boyfriend saying, like, if you guys want, like at lunchtime, we're going to have everything out. Like, come get a cupcake, come get some pasta, you know. And they were like, oh, okay, thanks. And I went on my first break a little bit early. Everybody typically went on breaks and lunches about the same time because we were supposed to in our department. But depending on where you were picking and packing, like you might go earlier, you might go later. So I ended up going a little bit earlier because I figured, well, I'm done with my order. I'm going to go on break and then I'll come back and start new. Well, I left the break room and everybody was coming in for break. And I went out to the aisle and I was picking, and I got to aisle. We only had three aisles, 7, 8, and 9. And I got to aisle 9, and my friend's boyfriend was there with his reach truck, and he was pulling down pallets, and he actually was organizing one pallet, two pallets onto one pallet to save space. And I stopped and I thought, well, okay, I might as well just wait here for a second because if I walk all the way around, I'm going to lose time and it's not going to make any difference. So I just stood there and waited, and he finishes putting the stuff onto the one pallet, and he comes around the pallet and he grabs my arm, my left arm, like at the top near the shoulder, and then he runs his fingertips like down the length of my arm over the top of my hand. And in like this male Marilyn Monroe type style voice, he's like, "Happy birthday, Kim." And somebody walked by. Someone from another department walked by. Because we would have anywhere from 200 to 300 people in our warehouse at any given time. And somebody walked by at the end of the aisle, pretty like maybe like 20, 25 feet away. And his fingertips were still on my hand when he heard the noise, and he turned and he just kind of like pulled away. And I knew in that moment, like, if that other person hadn't walked by, that he would probably have tried to either kiss me or touch me, or I don't even know. He would have tried something. He would have tried something. I didn't say anything for about 2 weeks, and then I told my friend what had happened and that I was upset and that I don't know why he would even think that he could even just touch somebody. Like, never mind, touch somebody the way that he touched me and say what he said to me. And she didn't believe me. And that's fine. Maybe she thought, like, oh, you're just blowing it out of proportion or, something like that. And I did tell her about how when she was gone, taking care of her son, that he was like getting flirty and following me around the warehouse, and which is exactly all the things that he used to do with her before they got together. It's like he grooms women for future, I want to say relationships, but they're not even really relationships. Honestly, it's just shenanigans. It's just it's just bullshit. He had a girlfriend at home with a baby, and he was at the warehouse looking for side pieces. Why you would think that you could have a girlfriend in the warehouse and then hit on her best friend, I don't even, like, who even thinks that that's possible? Like, you didn't think I was going to say anything? She didn't believe me, and we stopped talking, and probably like a week later, no, like 3 weeks later. So I told her 2 weeks after, about 2 weeks after it happened. About 3 weeks later, we actually had a team of people move to the new building because we had our new building built just down the road from our old building. And a group of us started working there. I was a part of that group. She was not. So she was behind at the old warehouse. Funnily enough, the boyfriend came with the new group of people to be in the new warehouse to start off the new warehouse. Well, when she finally came over, like, I think like a month and a half later, she was there for about 2 weeks, and then she came up to me and she's like, well, she's like, "Hey, we broke up. Like, we're not together." And I was like, okay. And she's like, for good this time. And I was like, okay. I was like, well, if you want to talk about it, if you want to get together, I'm like, let me know. Like we can hang out, we can grab a coffee, something like that. And she's like, I'll call you. She never called me because like a week, 2 weeks later, they got back together. And it wasn't until last year in 2023, like April, I think, she reached out to me saying that she wanted to get together for a cup of coffee. She needed to talk to me. In the fall of 2022, her ex husband unalived himself. He committed suicide and left her with her 2 kids. So I was kind of surprised in the spring when she wanted to talk. I assumed it was about that. Like, I assumed she was going to pretend like nothing had ever happened with me and her boyfriend, that everything was fine, and that she wanted to talk about her and the ex husband and her kids. So I met her for coffee, and she talked about what happened with her ex husband and the kids and everything. And it was just a very brutal, horrible story that no one ever should have to live through in real life. But then she told me, oh, I wanted to apologize. And I said, apologize for what? And she said, for not believing you. And I said, oh. And she said, yeah, I found out some stuff about him and talked to some people about him and realized he's just not a good person. And she's like, we broke up. We broke up for good. She's like, I can't be with him. She's like, I don't want to be with him. And she's like, I really just want to apologize and say how sorry I am that I didn't believe you. I should have believed you. That apology meant the world to me because you don't ever expect to get that apology. So it really meant something to me. It was sincere. Like she really meant it. But at the same time, like our relationship was already gone. Like I know she had hopes that we would come back together as friends, but I just couldn't. I just couldn't. I still see her at work every once in a while at the time clock. I work the AM shift, she works the PM shift, but we sometimes run into each other. And she's the sweetest, nicest person. I wish her nothing but the best. I hope she finds someone else. I hope she finds love again. I hope her kids are okay. But I just can't go back to that friendship. And, maybe in a couple of years I could. I don't know. But, I mean, nobody knows what the future holds, right? But, like, even now, a year later, a year and a half later, I still have no desire to rekindle that friendship. None. And that's not even the worst thing that's ever happened to me. But I can't go back. That was part 4.